So can you be fat and healthy?
Absolutely. I mean, there's those very large studies coming out saying that around 30% of people in that kind of obese range are actually perfectly metabolically healthy.
I love the confirmation bias that's coming from this overweight person just nodding. Oh, yep, see, 30% of us are healthy. Very large study, see, so it must be true. Nope, nothing wrong with here. Nothing wrong with my choices in life. Nope.
Julius, I wonder whether you think people shouldn't be big, as big as some of the people in this room are. Do you think that's the case?
No, I think it's up to everybody to be as big as they want to be, but if you're not happy with your size, don't try and make excuses and reasons as to why you are happy with your size when you're clearly in your head you're definitely not happy. And if it's a reason, people say that they eat for comfort. Is it because you are obese that you eat for comfort? If that's the case, then just face the fact that you're not happy with your size, and rather than making reasons around you as to why you're not.
He's dancing so carefully around speaking what's on his mind, like you just know he wants to stand up and scream at them all, saying, "Shut up, you're wrong." But even after all that, everyone's ready to put their hand up with a rebuttal.
Sorry, Jenny, there's too much emphasis placed on the discrimination of fat people. What we should be looking at is the health aspects for everybody. Being fat is not good for the individual, it's not good for society, and it's certainly not good for the health dollar. I mean, the medical system is buckling under the sheer weight of the 60% of people that are overweight and obese. And I'd like to see the documentation that says that an obese person, someone that's 150, 160 kilos, can be healthy. Can someone be fit and fat? Yes, someone can be fit and fat, but to be an ideal weight and fit is better than to be fit and fat. And fit and fat are a very small minority of that 60%.
They should have ended the program right there. Like, here are the facts, end of discussion. Let's all go home now.
Is that right, Heather? You're a public health expert.
Well, as you go up in size, the risk of chronic disease also goes up. So yes, there is the increased risk, and it is costing our health.
I love that shake of the head so much. Like he's basically wiped the floor clean, but he's wondering why they're still going on with the discussion.
You're talking about the Samoan community and other Pacific Island communities. Yes, they're larger as a population now, but a couple of generations they weren't. But also as a community now, you have much higher rates of diabetes in particular.
This is great. In 2 sentences, she disassembles her argument about how being fat is actually encouraged and seen as healthy in the Pacific Islander community. Because she's subtly bringing up the fact that before the agricultural revolution, we were basically hunter and gatherers, and everyone had to be in their prime physique to catch their food, because we didn't have the massive levels of food production that we have today.
And we're very conscious of that.
Yeah,
my generation is conscious because
community.
Now we've got aunts and uncles that are dying at such a young age. And
That's
for me,
right.
I certainly will not be wanting to die now and leaving my kids. I'm conscious that because my mum has a heart disease, my father's a diabetic, so I'm aware of those health issues that I could one day get.
I don't know what's worse, the fact that she's trying to counter-argue by saying that she is aware of the problem, or the fact that she is aware of the problem but doesn't seem to be too bothered by it. Look, there's a lot of people dying from heart disease and diabetes, but hey, you gotta die from something, right?
Your GP is here, and Paniani, you deal with a lot of Pacific Islanders in your practice, don't you? What sort of advice then do you give someone like Dorothy about her weight and about eating and health and exercise and so on?
It's a bit difficult because Dorothy comes out of a cultural background where being fat is encouraged and being attractive as well, versus the health issues that they are facing now. So I would tell Dorothy that I find 80% of my patients have some sort of chronic problem.
And you associate that with their weight?
And I associate it with their weight.
These people are too afraid to answer any of the questions correctly because they don't know how to without coming across as offensive. I mean, this is literally her GP, and when asked what advice can he give her, he can't even say a thing because he might be worried that he's going to lose her as a patient, or worse, come across as an ignorant jerk. Doctor, what do you recommend I do? Well, I've got some bad news for you. The results came back and you're drastically overweight. I recommend you start a diet, otherwise your health is at serious risk. But doctor, you said I was curvy, voluptuous and carefree. I don't recall ever saying that.
So
Okay,
I'm
Suzette,
concerned
what
about
happened
that.
to you? You had surgery.
I did. I had a gastric band in 2007, and over the next 2.5 years, I lost around 50 kilos, probably 55 kilos. Then mine just basically stopped working, and I think I'd figured it out as well. I'd worked
How
it out.
had you figured it out? What do you mean?
Well, I'd worked it out. I'd worked how I could get food in that I wasn't meant to. You know, you drink a glass of water when you're eating something and it washes everything down. You know, you eat things that go down easier, you know, chips, chocolate, whatever. All that sort of stuff that just slides on down really easily, you know.
She's implying that the procedure didn't work just because she managed to figure out a way to bypass her gastric band, which normally restricts the amount of food that she can digest. I mean, isn't it amazing what humans can do when we truly put our minds to accomplishing something?
Fat around your waist is bad, but toxic fat around your vital organs is worse.
Dorothy, what do you think of that ad?
Man, dang. When they have something about people who are slim, that, you know, they get too skinny, that they're going to get diseases. Like, it's always concentrated on fat. Like,
There aren't many ads out there about people getting diseases from being too skinny, because you don't get diseases from being too skinny. Unless, of course, we're talking about being malnourished, but hey, there are already ads about that, just not in this country.
Jenny, what do you think of the ad?
I would argue it's negative. I think even using terms like toxic fat, I mean, there's really no such thing. That's just made up for the ad.
Hold on, who is this woman? Let's have a look at some of her work right here. Beyond binary genders, the case for fat activism, not just the type, diabetes, fat and fear, clinging to fat acceptance, experiences of fatness and early motherhood. Jesus, this woman's been triggered her whole life.
I think one of the prevailing things that are happening here is that what I'm hearing is this intense sort of discussion around self-hatred and when you're in a bigger body. And I wanted to ask people, like down the front there, you who's 20, is your life better? Are you happier? Is everything better now that you're slightly smaller than you were before? I mean, I think one of the things
let's get an answer to the question. Are you?
Absolutely. And I'm not a little bit smaller, I'm a lot smaller. And I did do research into everything. I can still have kids, and that may not have happened if I had stayed the size I was. Like, my question to you is, can you honestly say that you are 100% happy and healthy? Like, you have no medical conditions whatsoever, you have no problems at all with your health at your weight as compared to...
Can we have an answer? No. The question's been asked. What's the answer?
I think it's really interesting that I feel like I need to justify my existence in this room.
No, but hang on a minute. You asked...
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want an example of someone who could dish it out but couldn't take it, this is it. Kind of reminds me of Ethan from H3H3 and this girl just getting instantly triggered whenever someone asks her a simple question.
I think it's really interesting that I feel like I need to justify my existence in this room.
No, but hang on a minute. You asked her to justify her decision.
I asked her if she was happy. I didn't ask her to justify what her health issues now or if there is any.
But have you got any health issues?
No, I'm perfectly happy.
I'd love to know, like, what do you see as healthy with eating?
Yeah, it's interesting that you've just assumed that I eat bad food because of my size.
I'd love to know, because if you're really healthy, do you have any joint issues, or so you're completely...
I swim 2.5 kilometres a day. I walk, I exercise all the time. I am in a synchronised swimming team, and I really resent the fact that I have to actually justify my existence and my ability to live in the world in a bigger body.
I'm just imagining a person on a treadmill running 5 kilometers a day, but while they're doing it, they've got a big old bucket of KFC in their hands. Oh no, it's okay, don't worry. I exercise all the time. I can eat all this. Look, I'm exercising right now.
But we're all talking about health tonight. I mean, the whole show is about weight and health.
No,
so
what
it's
we've
not
been
an
talking
unreasonable...
about is surgery, and we haven't actually talked about the possibility that you can actually live in your life.
No, but we
in
have.
This body.
We have talked about that. But all I'm saying is that a question to anyone about what they eat in the context of this program, anyone in this room, is perfectly reasonable, I think.
If you can find...
You can just feel that the sense of every overweight person being triggered is rising to a peak.
Let me tell you something. I haven't even begun to peak. And when I do peak, you'll know.
Perfectly reasonable.
I think those questions have been asked a lot, and I guess what we're saying is that there are other ways to frame a discussion about fat, not just about health. And also, I do think that it's problematic that you're asking individual people, are you healthy? Because
it's problematic if we're asking individual people if they're healthy. This is what the whole show is about.
Perfectly reasonable. I think that's
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest.